Hey guys, welcome back to another video. For today, we're going to go another retro react. We're going to take it back to Canadian culture shock in Kuwait. This is on Miss Foodie Beauty's main channel, one of the earlier videos that she still has on there. So I haven't seen this since she posted it, so this is a warm react for me, although pretty cold, I have to say. Yeah, so let's get to and see what she has to say about culture shock in Kuwait.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This feels weird because it's like a sit down and talk video and I haven't made one of these in a little while, but I like doing them
Oh, I think I got her a little too fast. Hold on, let me just slow her down a little bit. Okay.
once in a while to talk about certain subjects. So today's subject is going to be cultural differences. I get asked a lot.
I have a question before we start. Who is this woman on my screen? Because I've never seen her before. She looks like, I don't know. She looks like her eyes remind me of some kind of animal, but I can't place it. What do you guys think? Comment down below.
To talk about cultural differences between here and Canada. If you're new here, I'm Canadian. I'm from Ottawa, Ontario, born and raised in Canada, and I recently married a Syrian man, Salah. He is Syrian. He was born and raised in Kuwait. So I'm currently in Kuwait, and I get asked a lot, basically, if there's any kind of culture shock. So I'm sure you guys want to know my perception of the society, how I compare things with the Western world where I'm from, and what it's just been like for me on this journey so far. Honestly,
Also, the inside of her eyeliner here, the eyeliner there, it's just it's such a mess because this one's so much longer than that one. Not that I'm trying to be nitpicky, but it's really apparent. Oof, these filters. She's like smooth, like she's got no features. It's just eyes, two nose holes, and her little lips.
there's not as much culture shock as I imagined because I did do some research before I came here out of respect. I always want to be respectful of different cultures and their customs. So if I ever
Remember when you went to you hopped the border to the United States during like when COVID first started and you wanted to get some kind of I forget which fast food you were looking for, but you didn't bring your birth certificate or anything that you did need to get back into Canada safely. You went to the couple fast food places in New York and you tried to use Canadian money and were like pretty offended that they didn't accept your Canadian money in the United States. So talk up again how how you're respectful of different countries and cultures.
travel anywhere, it's going to be important for me to respect these differences. To me, differences, especially cultural, are not bad. It's just that they're differences and that's what they are. So I try to embrace everything and try to understand everything that I can. We don't always have to agree with things when things are different and we're not used to them or things we don't understand, but it's still important to respect them. So I'm going to talk about some things, some misconceptions I believed before coming here, some things that I found very different, and then
Now this is an interesting video because I'm interested in actually the differences. This is like an interesting video. This could have been really great.
some things that I actually, some information I got from the Kuwait visa website, which makes sense. It's where you can go and get an e-visa from a select list of countries. If your country's on there, you can apply online to get a tourist visa here. Kuwait is a lot more open to tourism than it was in the past, and compared to a lot of other Middle Eastern countries as well. But the information was on the website probably to prepare travelers from different parts of the world as to what you can expect when it comes to different cultural customs.
So a question for those who have been to the Middle East. I've never been there. I know that like the UAE and Dubai and that those countries, they're more like Western leaning. They're more like progressive countries in the Middle East. Is Kuwait also comparative to like the UAE and to Dubai, or is it more? I know it's not as strict as like Afghanistan or Iran. Which have you guys heard the news about the age of consent in Iran now? I can't. But or is it like is it a mixture of both? It kind of seems like a mixture of both from like what I've seen that she's shown us, you know? Just curious.
Here, so I'll just share some of this information with you if you are thinking of coming here because this place is beautiful, as you've seen from our vlogs. The beaches, everything, just the food.
I know that she lives on the beach in Kuwait, and again, correct my ignorance. I will be the first person to admit if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But the beaches, they're okay, but I just don't think of like beaches when I think of Kuwait. You know, I think more of like the architecture and the buildings more. Like that's, I just don't think, I don't correlate like beaches and the ocean with Kuwait.
people are so friendly. It's amazing here. So yes, let's get into it. That's kind of going to be all over the place in my style of doing a video. But anyway, one of the biggest things I was surprised about, I thought for some reason, probably like a lot of people, I was ignorant a lot when it came to thinking of the Middle East. I thought of like everyone in the Middle East just being like much poorer than Canada or the US. And it's just like a really small way of thinking, but that's how I thought. And I thought, oh, you know, like I'm Canadian, my money's gonna go a long way there. And it's actually like Kuwait is like the fifth richest country in the world.
I didn't know that until she brought that to our attention. I didn't realize that the Kuwaiti dinar was so strong. I didn't know.
From what I read, but their currency is worth
Oh, it's the highest. Oh, that's okay. So yeah, all right. That's cool.
a lot more than Canadian money. So like, for example, 1 KD equals like 4.4 Canadian dollars. So if you do the math, so yeah, when it comes to money, I just try not to really deal with it as much as I can because it really confuses me, and my money's not worth much here. So it's better to like save as much as I can just for when I'm in Canada because it's just
It's not that your money's not worth as much. It just doesn't go as far. You know, don't no offense to Canadian currency, Chantal. That is your motherland. Okay, let's not throw Canada totally under the bus here.
just worth more there. Another thing I won't do here is drive. I've already talked about that in my live streams ad nauseum, so I'm not going to talk about that. But I do not want to drive here. We'll just leave that up to Salah. So, all right. Another thing I found different is the reversal of weather, climate changes. Obviously, it's so hot here. Right now, it's winter months here, so it's actually in like the 20s. But the sun is really hot during the day sometimes, and at night it's really nice out. It's like in the 20s. It's perfect weather, not too humid most times. But in the summer, it's unbearable, up to like 60. I think I heard like 63 degrees Celsius. You could fry an egg on the ground. Most people, the weather is not comfortable in the summer here, to where people tend to live inside the malls, inside their homes with air conditioning.
Yeah, like when I lived in the desert myself, it was a big thing that if you left, if you drove around anywhere, which you needed a car in Southern California to get anywhere anyway, but when you left your house, it was like a known thing. You better have at least 2 gallons of water per person in your trunk, just in case you get stuck somewhere and you know you have to get it. Like you need to have water. It's a really big thing. Whereas like where I'm from here, you don't even think about like I need to have emergency rations if I get stuck in my car. You know what I mean? So it's interesting how that, you know, how temperature really messes with people.
There's AC everywhere, cars, jobs. It's just you wouldn't be able to. It would be like living in Canada in the winter months without a heater. It's very, very opposite that way. In Canada, a lot of the time it'll go down to like minus 30, 35 sometimes. You can't be outside for very long in that. You need to be in the heat. Here it's the reverse. It's so hot you need to be in the AC. And because of that, certain things are different. Like camping in the winter here. We don't camp in the winter in Canada. We camp in the summer. Things like corn, certain things that are in harvest, like corn is really big in the winter here, more at the end of summer in Canada. Mating season for animals, for cats, winter, and in Canada it's in the spring, beginning of summer. So just like little differences like that I find very interesting. I will say, and again this information, I say this with utmost respect to Kuwaiti Arab culture in general. It's very different. It's very different with values. It's at least Kuwait, very conservative values, very conservative country. It's an Islamic country. 75% of people are Muslim.
Really? I would have thought like a higher majority were Muslim. Huh. Okay. Learn something new if that's correct. Like again, this is Chantal and we know she's not great with math and facts and stuff, but you know, interesting.
However, there are different religions here, and that remaining 25% of people are allowed to practice freely. You have seen in the grocery stores, the Santa Claus, the Bath and Body Works Christmas things. So they do have they have respect for people who want to practice different religions, though mostly they practice in their homes or things like that. It's predominantly Muslim. So because it's an Islamic country, they practice Ramadan here. They take it very seriously. And during the month of Ramadan, even as a foreigner, anyone who lives here, and again, if you're traveling here, please keep in mind if you're here during the month of Ramadan, a very religious month for Muslims, and there are laws that will put you in jail if you don't respect them. Even as a foreigner, you have to be respectful of that. I fully understand that. I don't have a problem with that.
You sure? I mean, we could go back in your videos and see during the last Ramadan season what you were saying. So, I mean, we could do that. I don't know when the last Ramadan was, but that could be fun.
Someday I would like to try Ramadan. You have to fast until sundown. So if you're seen...
Fasting during Ramadan is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. It is to remind Muslims to be humble and thankful and to think of the less fortunate.
In public, chewing gum, drinking, eating, unless you have like a medical exemption or something like that, Mostly, if you do, you still don't go in public. I think it's custom to just stay in the home, but you can be fined or arrested for not respecting those laws. Just like anywhere, if you don't respect the laws, you're gonna be in trouble, right? Some other things that are illegal in Islamic culture, things that are considered haram, such anti-Muslim, so things like pork products, alcohol,
So that's one,
marijuana, drugs,
two, three.
anything like that. It's also haram for Muslims to have dogs as pets in their home. So I know that you guys, a lot of you in the Western world, really love pets. I have cats. I love my cats. But having cats in the home is fine. It's not. I haven't. It's not usual. Just pets in general. In a lot of parts of the world, it's like that. But the Western world, we love our pets. But here, dogs, if they're useful, like hound dogs for hunting, police work, gathering sheep, things like that, that's permitted. But to have a dog in the home, is haram. So that is why you see them in the zoo with other animals.
Ah, okay. That answers my question. Okay.
On the other hand, that's very different from where I come from. But you don't realize it until you realize Canada's very secular, which means that there's no government
Maybe that's why the zoo mislabeled those dogs as being Chihuahuas when they were like Pomeranians or whatever.
mixing with religion to govern the country.
Wait, let me just
Very
tap that
secular,
back.
which means very different from where I come from. But you don't realize it until you realize Canada's very secular, which means that there's no government mixing with religion
Damn right. Go Canada.
to govern the country. I will say it's a lot more peaceful here in a lot of ways. I think that my personal belief is because of these laws in place, the big conservative placement of value, respect. I think a lot of the reasons that alcohol and drugs and things like that are haram is because it's damaging to the mind and body and to the spirit. And if you're religious, you value God and you value yourself, you won't want to hurt yourself with substances. And that has been really meaningful in my journey to recovery as an addict.
Fast forward to every time she leaves this country and she can get high.
Which I do still struggle with, just mostly.
Listen, girl, I'll be the first person to tell you there's nothing wrong with getting high once in a while. Smoking a little bit of weed, having some edibles, etc., whatever you want to do. If it's legal where you are, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't let people shame you, Chantal. We know that you're not practicing Islam, okay? So don't shame yourself for things you like to do, okay? Deep down, you're a Christian girly. We know.
With food here and there, but when I was back at home and substances are readily available, you can overindulge on everything over there, and it's a different vibe. Like again, I've heard people say it's there's so many like big malls and things, so it's like flashy like Vegas, but minus the debauchery. And I have to agree with that. You don't see people falling over drunk here.
Okay, she's mentioned this a couple times that Kuwait doesn't have people falling over drunk like they do in this part of the world, and it's just like, how often, like, where are you going that you're seeing people falling over drunk, like outside? Like I could see if you're like in a party area, if there's like a main road with a bunch of different like party bars or whatever, that's one thing. And you could expect to see that every now and then. But I mean, if you're walking down the street, I don't really expect to see a drunk person just falling over all over themselves. It's like she's trying to paint Canada as a certain way worse than it is. Canada is a beautiful, clean country for the most part, right? So I just don't know what her point is with this particular talking point, because I've heard her mention this a few times in a few of her videos.
Throwing up on the street, making jerks of themselves, and
like, when was the last time you saw someone throw up in the street? I mean, maybe like 7-8 years ago, outside of a bar because someone was sick, but that was, like I said, outside of a bar, so it's kind of like it goes with the territory. They're not just like puking on the side of the road next to someone's house. She makes it sound a lot worse than it is.
It's you just don't see it here, and it's a very peaceful vibe. You hear the prayer on the street, people just respecting everything, and I don't know, I find it very peaceful here.
Yeah, but okay, so people are respectful and peaceful, and you're sitting in your Kuwaiti apartment raging on the internet 3 out of 7 days a week. So, I mean, is it working? Is it mellowing her out, this peaceful area she's living in? I don't think so. I don't think it's really mellowed her out. I bet if she had access to other substances. In Kuwait, I think it would, we would see the old Chantal. We would see the real Chantal again. But she's holding it together. I'll give her that. I will give her that. She does try to hold it together, and she's been doing it for like 2 years. I couldn't do it. I couldn't live with Salah for 2 years. Something would happen.
Way that I guess unless you live it, you don't really, might not really understand it. That's why
And to pay him on top of that, like the extra like little dig in the with the knife. Yeah, no, I'm good.
I like traveling the world and being more interested in different cultures because it opens your mind to a lot of things that you never would think about living in the same geographical location for your whole life, you know? And I will say, I do see a lot of comments. People are in disbelief with a past like my own, coming from such an open place. With a past like mine, how can we make it work? And I have to say, Salah's been nothing but just like so open to, he sees the changes in me, he's supportive of it, and he actually helps. Like I've said many times, being with someone who helps you on this healing process, recognizes that you have a good heart and a willingness to change and respect yourself more. And it's just made such a difference in this journey. I'm not perfect and I'm still struggling sometimes. Change is not linear and it's not overnight.
It's not overnight, but you do have to make an effort. Like if you're really drinking the Kool-Aid that you're trying to sell us, where there's God and you believe in this God, Allah, whatever, then, I mean, well, let her finish. I'll finish that point.
Everyone's patient with me. I think I'm on the right track. I feel it.
Like again, if she really did believe in Allah, Allah would actually know if she believed in this theory, whether or not she's making a change or a conscious actual effort to change, right? So wouldn't you be scared? Wouldn't that put the fear, like literally the fear of God in you to change instead of just saying you're changing and just, it's my business, it's not your business, it's my bit. Like, that's all.
Thing, speaking of acceptance and friendliness and big hearts, is how welcoming people are. One of the cultural customs is hospitality. People are so nice, and even people here who have hardly anything, or just even if they're struggling, or even if, and no matter what walk of life or financial situation they have, if you are welcomed into someone's home, they will treat you like royalty.
So can you tell us about, to the new people in the room, talk about how like one of the first people that you met was Salah's friend Allah, right? And his wife met you with Allah and you were awful to them, just awful, and said the most horrific things about a pious Muslim woman while you were in Kuwait and had just gotten there. Okay, let's tell the people who don't know what really happened.
They will share their best food with you. They will just be so friendly and welcoming. And it's just, I mean, like you've seen on my live stream, neighbors will bring us like olives at midnight, or just anytime they cook, they think of you, they bring you food. And so
they probably want to feed the fat lady, the fat white lady. Really? I mean, right?
I've kind of learned, okay, you know what? I like this and I'm going to share too. So whenever somebody brings us something and the dish is empty, now we fill it with something and give it back. So it's a really,
that's a nice gesture. That's really nice. I don't know how you guys are with your neighbors, but that would be nice. Like if your neighbor, although I'm not really like fond of like eating people I don't know's cooking, but like I could see that. It's a very nice gesture. I like that idea.
Rely on this kind of community of friendliness to help each other. That being said, I did learn that it's custom, if somebody offers you something in their home, try not to turn it down, because usually they're offering you something they're proud of making or something. Like we went to someone's home and they offered, I wasn't hungry and I was kind of full because they made us like some food and we just had dinner, but they offered me like on top of that like a fresh banana smoothie, and I was like with some fresh bananas they just got, and I said no. No thank you. And they kind of,
that's one of the first things you, if you ever travel to a new country, one that's very different from where you grew up, right? Always see if it's acceptable or not to refuse food or drink in someone's company, right? It's in our culture, in the Italian American culture, it's very considered not rude, but it's considered proper. You should accept if someone brings you food to eat it, right? I think a lot of cultures are like that, to be fair. I'm not sure specifically about Kuwait or Middle Eastern cultures, but I think it's a pretty blanket statement. If you're going to, especially if you're going to someone's house and they've prepared food for you, whether they bought it or they made it themselves, they're putting effort and love into that dish, right? And it's polite to eat it, even if you don't like it, right? At least try a little. Choke it down if you have to. I've done that many times.
Kind of looked at me like, like they didn't really understand. And then they offered me again later. So I did say yes that time, and it was delicious. But also, if you're eating and you don't want to eat anymore, be sure to leave a bit of food on your plate because they'll just keep filling your plate with food. Like, people really like to feed people here and be nice. And it's like a heartwarming feeling I can't explain. It's such a peaceful culture, peaceful religion. The people are so amazing. And
They're fattening you up, Chantal.
yes, it seems conservative probably to people in the Western world, but as long as you're respectful, there should be no problem. Same thing if you want, like if you're having coffee, it's custom like after meals to have some tea or Arabic coffee with some like salty seeds, like sunflower seeds or nuts. But if you don't like,
Why is that? Is it to cut the bitterness? I've never had Arabic coffee or anything like. I'm not a coffee drinker, as I've said before, but like Italian coffee, espresso is so bitter. Is it like that? Is that why they eat salty seeds? Just curious.
this is more for men who do this. Men, if you're done drinking you have to shake your glass because people will just keep filling it. One thing I see a lot is talk about the differences between men and women. So even on the website, the visa website, it does say Kuwait, like a lot of Islamic countries, are predominantly patriarchal, meaning they're male dominated. But I find that Kuwait is a lot more open compared to some countries. Like women can drive and things like that now. They're in the workforce with equal pay. There are
Good, because we don't have equal pay in the United States, and that's a goddamn shame.
certain things that women and men do separate. And in my blog, that's all that I meant, but I did edit out that part because I felt like I wasn't explaining it properly. First of all, men and women, it's custom that they socialize separately, usually, especially in public. In the home, it's different. In the home, you can do whatever you want. You can dress however you want. You're married, you're together, it's your private home. But in public, there's certain customs.
Do you have, I assume you would have to cover up if you had company come over to your house. Like, do you have to cover up for like your brother, your father? I assume maybe not. I don't know. Again, I'm sorry. I'm ignorant with this. 100%, I admit it. Or is it because you're in your own home, you could do whatever you want?
And in my video, I just meant we were just doing things separately. Actually, the women can smoke shisha if they want to. It's a personal choice. What I'm wearing is a personal choice. Women, I would say there are women, mostly from other cultures. There's a large Indian and Filipino population here. A lot of them don't cover because they're not Arab or they're not Muslim. And the ones who are, though, I usually see them always in hijab, and a lot of women I've seen in niqab as well. So back to
I just don't understand. Why doesn't she just wear the hijab and then modest clothing? Like, she could wear just plain, clothes. Like, because she's worn pattern abayas before, like pretty loud pattern abayas. She's got that leopard one, that blue strange Timu leopard one she was wearing. I haven't seen that in a while. Like, why doesn't she just, I feel like the abaya is like overkill for her because she could still cover up. And we've seen her covered up, okay? Like, she's used to have a little bit of fashion sense, even though it was minuscule. She did understand whether or not she followed her own rules was another thing. But, like, why not just do that, Instead of having to wear the abaya. Keep your head covered, keep your neck covered. That's really makes you feel safer and secure or whatever. But I don't know. Just, I'm like, what's with the abayas? Because they're just oversized shirts. And I know she's trying to hide certain things, but like there are ways around that, Chantal. And you've worn outfits that you've had that looked better on you,
men and
It
women
can be
doing different
done.
things. There's actually a custom called Diawania. I had to practice that a few times, so that's maybe why there's a jump cut there. Diawania is gathering of men at where they socialize, at cafes, smoke shisha together, have drinks, non-alcoholic, and just socialize together. Again, it's very conservative that way, which is why we also deleted some things that, I'm learning. So if I do something that's a little bit out of the norm or a little questionable, it's just...
I just want to say, just personal preference, when people are like making an informative kind of vlog like this is, like kind of teaching you like, hey, this is what I learned here. I appreciate that. But Usually when I'm listening to YouTube, I don't know about you guys, but especially during the day, I'm not watching it. I'm listening to it. So like my visual is somewhere else, right? I wouldn't have known that little caveat she put on the bottom, like a correction of what she said. So for people that do make travel vlogs or like informative vlogs, just keep that in mind. Sometimes it's nice just to just go back and just redo the scene really quick or just voiceover or something, because sometimes people aren't seeing that, you know. Just a info from me to you.
Ignorance or just forgetting or not aware at all. I mean, you can prepare and research all you want, but you know, experience is the biggest teacher, right? So I do edit things out of respect or just to avoid problems in the future. But public displays of affection are very big no-no. Even with the most loving married people, all men and women do not do that in public here with each other. If you do come here, even though you don't
I wish you would have elaborated on more on that, because they can't hold hands, right? Obviously, no kissing, no embracing, I'm assuming.
have to technically cover your head, out of respect, they do expect you to dress conservatively as a woman. So covering your shoulders, covering at least, you know, down to your ankles. I usually go out always in an abaya, sometimes niqab. I've been.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I understand they want you covered to your ankles, but I've seen the women there wearing pants and like a top. They're dressed like you can't see anything. They're dressed conservatively, but they're not having to like wear something that goes all the way to their, like it's a separate thing. So why doesn't she just do that? That's my question. Maybe she just wants to hide herself more. I don't know.
Sometimes wearing that, but always in hijab. The niqab actually, it's comes to here, and the air actually flows under it. It's not covered like a mask, so it's not too bad, and it just goes under this with an elastic. So it's actually
I'm not down for that. I'm not down for that. No offense to people who are. I'm just not down for that.
not that uncomfortable. It's not really uncomfortable actually, and I'm kind of used to this. Sometimes it is hot.
That's what I mean. Like, why is she going to that length? Like once in a while, we'll see her in a travel, like a couples channel vlog with Salah, and she'll have the niqab on, or however you said niqab on. Why? If she doesn't practice the faith, and she admits she doesn't practice it as she should, why bother going to such lengths for the costume? You know, that's just doesn't, I can't connect those two pieces.
You know, I'm overweight and I'm fully covered. So until, you know, it took some getting used to, but I'm getting a lot more used to it. And being here in the winter is so much better. From what I'm told, I don't think I could stand a summer here, but yeah. All right, so that's about it for this video. I think I've said everything I want to say. I will be doing a lot more videos and a lot more videos talking about my experiences. I do have a weight loss video coming up. That will just mostly be me updating you on that topic in my life, because it is a big thing in my life. And yeah, I'll just be coming out with that video at some point, so stay tuned. Also, we are going to be doing more videos on the couples channel, so I will also be doing some live streams while Salah's at work, so stay tuned for those as well. I really appreciate you guys who are still here. I know that every change I go through in my life, good or bad, I lose people along the way, and that's a lesson for me. It really teaches me who my real friends and supporters are, and I don't say that to try to shame people, but it's just a fact that people come and go in life, and
unless you tell her everything she wants to hear at the exact moment she wants to hear it, she doesn't care, because you are replaceable. I don't know how many cycles of Beezers we have to go through to understand that. And also, why are you bringing this up in this video anyway? Like, she's subtly digging at her Beezers. Like, if you don't ship up, you could shape. If you don't shape up, you could ship out, right? Why even bring that into this video? This is supposed to be about Canadian culture shock in Kuwait, and this is an edited video. It's not even like a live stream where someone kind of caught her out and just caught her off guard. She can't not talk about some kind of drama from YouTube at least 3 to 4 days out of a week, every week, consistently. And the days that she doesn't talk about drama, it's probably because it's a recorded mukbang. But then again, like one like this slips in where she, of course, is going to talk about something.
Well, you know, your real friends will be there through no matter what. So yes, anyways, lots of lessons, but I'll save those for another video. All right, guys, I've blabbed enough here. And again, Very beautiful country in closing, and I'm very glad that I'm here and experiencing it with Salah. So, and you guys along on the journey. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Well, that was her culture shock in Kuwait video. What'd you guys think? My thoughts, some parts were informative, and I do appreciate that. Um, I think there was opportunity here for her to go a lot deeper, you know. But that's fine. I think she did a fine job. I think she needs to take a breath. She's way too winded. She needs to just slow down. Don't talk so fast and just take your time. In terms of substance, what she actually talked about, it is what it is. The spot is still on her lip to this day. Permagano. Okay. Nader's Permagano. We know what that means. Anyway, get distracted. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please give my video a like if you did enjoy this video. And otherwise, I will see you guys in the next one. I hope you guys have an awesome Sunday and get some rest and enjoy. See you guys later. Bye-bye.